Good morning. You know, a good night's sleep is a lot of good is great for a lot of things, but it gave me a couple of ideas because, as I said before, when I talk, my brain is not always engaged with my mouth. So I don't see everything that normally I see because really I have this little hamster up inside my head. It's what one of my models said to me once when I was teaching anatomy. I was explaining to my class that I can't walk across the corridor anymore, hallway anymore, without forgetting why I went. And I was worried that I was starting dementia really early. And he said, no, what it is the more you get involved in your art, the more you're open to all the stimulus that's around you. When you have focus, you go to the end of the corridor, you find the tool that you're looking for, and you come back and you finish whatever you're working on. And I thought, that sounds so much cooler than starting dementia. But it really is true because I've noticed when I'm talking to people also that they're quite intent on their stuff. And I'm looking around and I'm watching. I tend to watch the behavior of people a lot, especially when the words don't match the actions. I want to know more. And it's kind of a clue that something's not right in the neighborhood kind of thing. So anyway, I'm rambling on about stuff, but while I was getting my good night's sleep last night, I realized, okay, first of all, I had to iron this because there was a fold line and it might have been the original crease from when I bought it, you know, when they store it. So I ironed this just now, and I remembered that I had wanted to put the Monete della Papa, the flowers with the transparent. Maybe I didn't post that video because I'm not using that thing yet. But I have this collection of Pussy Willow, and I've wanted to put this into still life. I have all over my house. That's how crazy I am about it. It comes from my memories when I grew up in Germany, and my mom would follow the tradition there of the egg tree, you know, where you hang the Christmas wooden egg decorations that you painted, hang them off of the branches of the pussy willow. Now, the pussy willow in Iowa that I brought back to Texas with me decades ago with my husband John is it's a different kind. They were basically long straight branches, and the little willow parts were way bigger. Where I live now, they have these trees where you get little tiny pieces, and they're all doing these zigzag weird kind of things. So they're not the things of my memories, but I still like them and have good memories. So I was looking around at a small piece that maybe I could experiment with today because I wanted some other element. And this is kind of nice because it's a neutral as well, but it's a light colored neutral. So first, hang on, let me put that down there so I don't break everything. I also realized that the way I had this draped yesterday, it was too much, too many drape fold lines in the fabric. I don't want it to be solid plain because then I'm just painting a design that somebody wove. But I need something in between. The other thing is I need a little bit more drama on the lighting, which probably means I'm going to create a shadow of some kind. So let me get this put on. And I didn't do my exercises this morning. Sorry, my back is freaking out. The other thing it occurred to me is yesterday my boyfriend called and he wants to come over. Today is the 29th of December. Okay, so he's going to come over here, and then in a day or two, he's going to want me to go over there to his house. And what it means is, and I have physical therapy on the 2nd of January, so it means that I'm not going to get home at the earliest. I'll get home at midnight on January 2nd. I like to drive in the middle of the night because there's a lot less, not middle of the night, but late in the night, because there's a lot less traffic. And I don't like the headlights in my face, and I also just don't like traffic. And it's a peaceful drive for me. So anyway, it means I'm going to have, 4 or 5 days where I'm not going to be here. And that made me realize, do you know how when you experiment, it's never wasted time? Play is never wasted time. Trying new things is never wasted time. This is not brain surgery, so no one's going to die in the effort except maybe my pomegranates. But what I mean is, yesterday when I played with that teal scarf, the color was a little bit too overwhelming, so that I really paid attention to that. My eye went straight to that more than it did to these. So that was a good lesson to learn. but I still kind of am wanting to do this thing that I did with the pumpkin still life of doing these sort of blotchy colors together. So I decided that I'm going to pick my canvas today. I'm going to paint it with a teal sort of, either a solid teal, or depending on what I use, I may do a blotchy teal kind of background. Then when I'm ready to start drawing on this, that will have been dry for 5 days, and I can start painting a lot easier. So I'm trying to be efficient because I have to maneuver being at home and not at home, and how to use that to my advantage. And you might be the same. You might have kids at home, and so every day you're not able to paint, or you're not able to get to this, or maybe you have other projects. I mean, I tend to juggle things a lot of times, and especially if I'm going to use oil paints, there are times when allowing something to dry, the longer the better. It's actually to my advantage. For example, if I'm painting a cadmium red thing, I have a painting downstairs that paint needs about 2 weeks to dry. Burnt umber and black are very, very long drying times. So the longer I let those dry before I put another coat on, even if I use the fat over lean oil and put more oil in it each time, it's still really, really better, I find, to allow that paint to get in and to get chemically dry and then put another coat on. So that's one reason I always have a lot of projects going on too, but also because my brain needs a break. I don't focus very well. Like if this would take me 3 months to do, which is normal, possibly, I just can't do it solid 3 months, 3 hours a day maybe, but I'm not even home that much anymore now. So I'm trying to juggle this life of being with somebody or not being with somebody, making art, not making art. And I want to start archery because I'm enjoying that I've done so far. And I'd like to go up into the hills and the woods here and explore a little bit, and also get my exercise and recuperate the strength in my back. And at some point soon, I hope to start marble carving. Probably early January is possible, at least finish up old projects. Stop rambling. So let me keep going with this. So another thing I also thought about was that to get a better lighting thing, I want maybe to push this background in the back. And even though the board is not that long to deal with the length there to give me that depth, I can make that up in my head or do something else. So right now, I want to push this back. Whoops. Seems like it's going to push the whole thing back. Remember, it's on that base. Okay, so it's not going so far back because this board that I have with the black here, I had pulled out this stand so it could be angled to my point of view 2 meters away to be straight at me. Because if you follow the line of a circle, like the radius, this has to be at one angle to see me perpendicular, and when I go to the easel, it has to be at a different angle to see perpendicular, because I'm comparing, So I had to rotate the top part of this little stand here, and what it did was it pulled it away from the wall, and I wanted the black on that wall there because I don't want to paint my landlord's wall black, and I don't. Anyway, there are other solutions. I could find a black cloth and hang it up there, but so that's leaning against there. So I'm afraid to touch it because I really don't want to get involved in this whole working in a tiny space and having to juggle everything. But let me push this back. Now, another thing I actually enjoyed too was the diagonal sloping that I had done with the backgrounds before. So I like the bunchy up fabric thing. Plus, the designs that are in here in the edging are really pretty cool. So I don't want to just do, it looks blacker there and brown here. Anyway, I won't start setting up the fruit until I get back and I'm ready to actually start doing the drawing. Because the fruit, once I open up the pomegranates, I may even buy some new ones to get fresh opening ones, so I get the fruit the freshest as possible, because these will dry somewhat and I can leave them even if I cut them in half or something. So, rambling again. Anyway, let's put this up here for a little bit of protection on what I'm doing. And maybe here, if I put some folds in this way, maybe it helps the composition come right back in to see all the pieces, you see. So I think about how the eye travels through a rectangular space. So for right now, let me just leave that there. Pavlo. So another thing that you may notice is that this lighting is very different from the other videos I did. And that's because right now it's daytime. I have a window right above my phone right there that's taking this video, and it's letting in the light there. And I have a window behind me also that I've got a little bit covered up with Christmas decorations, but I have light coming in from a very different direction. It means that when I paint this, I have to wait until after dark because I don't feel like taking time to cover the sky window, and plus I don't want to take it down, put it up, take it down, because I kind of like looking out at the stars sometimes. So I'm trying to minimize all these extra projects I do and make things simple and just choose my time of day, because honestly, with a lot of other projects to do, it's not really a problem for me to say I'm going to be only here at night. My only problem is that it's winter time, and this is one of the colder rooms of the house. I have a pellet stove in the next room over, but it doesn't enter here. But anyway, you work these things out however it works for your life to make it happen. Okay, so, yeah. So let me get back and stand back here and see what I like. Let's do a little zoom. It's kind of sweet. It's interesting, the shaft of light that's coming here, because it's really difficult to make your composition when you don't have your lighting set up. And yet, you want the objects to be interestingly placed before you get to that point. So what I want to do now is pick up the pussy willow before I get it too in there. And I want to figure out, I mean, I don't have a vase to put it in, and I have to be open to cutting this all up if I want. Before I cut, I want to have an idea of what I like. I like these that are together. Here's one that's a broken branch. So I could either prop it up or cut it off and put it, you know, hanging off in the front or something. If I did it like this seems a little weird. And I could maybe if I lay something coming out like this, you know. So the other thing is, I don't know that I want a really, really busy composition. Not just because it'll take me a lot longer to paint it, and repetition seriously gets really boring. This pattern right here would already drive me nuts to paint. But what I find is that I want to make art that makes, or images or sculptures that make someone feel something of awe. Because if not, I mean, it's weird. I was taking a course in abstract art, and I thought, it's so fun to make it because you're so sloppy. You do this, you do that, you do that. Oh, it's a necessary part of growth to push out of your boundaries and do something different, and to make something that, you know, but it was fun for me to destroy one of my paintings in pastels that I did and just go boom. Part of it was this process of letting go and not being so precious about what I did. And that was the teacher said it was an important part of the lesson. Louise Fletcher, she's really, really great. But it was freeing. But I still have that painting sitting on top of my refrigerator because I want my brain to see that, because the part of your brain that is not actively, consciously working is still working. And I find that if I pass the paintings daily, at some point an idea arrives. If I put the paintings, you know, in a slotted thing and try to be organized and a neat, tidy person, I don't see them in front of me, then I kind of forget they exist. Sometimes, if they don't, I mean, my drawing of 10 that I did, a 1-minute sketch, that stayed in my head for 8 years without looking at it every day. And then finally I learned enough anatomy and I got sculpture, and then I had this amazing story with artist Warren Culler giving me $200, and he said, go make something that sells. Right after September 11th happened, I was so depressed because I had just launched my full art time business, and then that January, and then September I did a show at a church with him, and I just met him at an art marketing thing with the Austin Visual Art Association in Texas. And anyway, it's a great story that I was really depressed after the show because I had made a plaster casting of my little figure of 911, which was a horror, just letting out my emotions. I brought it to the church. It wasn't perfectly made. The mold was so fast, the rubber didn't set up well and whatever. But I brought it to the church, and it was a really healing thing for a lot of people to speak about. But nobody wanted to buy art for themselves because it felt selfish because so many people had died and in such a horrible way. And I was really depressed, and I said something to that effect to Warren, and he said, well, help me carry this table to my van. And I did. And then he put a piece of paper in my hand and he said, stick this in your pocket and don't look at it till you get home. I do what I'm told because that's the nature of people in general. Not all the time. But I mean, they say in marketing, if you want somebody to do something, tell them to do it. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, buy now. Those things work usually, okay? They're not going to force you to do something you don't want to do, but they do give you permission to say, oh yeah, she's here for a reason. Buy my art. Anyway, I got home that night, too tired to unload my van, so I just left that for the morning. But when I was getting ready for bed, I remembered hey, there's something in my box. He gave me $200 in cash and said to me, go make something that sells. I was like, how do I do that? But I ended up making the 10 bas-relief sculpture on a small scale. Took me 3 days from my drawing that I did on a 1-minute sketch. And anyway, that became one of my best sellers. The $200 paid for me to take a course at the sculpture school, the Elizabeth Ney Sculpture Conservatory, where I was teaching at the time. Or maybe I wasn't teaching just yet, but I would start to teach pretty soon. Anyway, I took a bronze course with Bill Barnett, and that $200 paid for the class and the expenses of the bronzes and stuff. So I cast 2 of those pieces. I gave one of them to Warren the next time I saw him at the Artist Harvest show in Austin, and the other one I sold at that show. And then that's been one of my best sellings. I later enlarged it to a 4-foot piece because I was interested in enlargement process without the scanning thing. And anyway, thousands of stories, but I should be working on this still life. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this right now, but the thing, maybe that's kind of cool coming in as a background. The thing that, oh, that's kind of interesting coming through there, isn't it? I don't know that I'm going to do this way, but it's kind of like the Egyptian art. Why did they have the shoulders this way, the feet that way, and the head in profile? It was because they took the elements and put them at the most advantageous view. What I mean by advantageous is it gives you the most information. If I look at a chest this way, I see the triangular, the force of the man and the narrowed hips and all that. If I give you the face, I get not only the depth of the face, but I also get where are the eyes, where are the mouth, and that kind of thing. So they changed their perspective to give you information. And it's an interesting way to look at it this way. The same kind of goes with this pot. You get more information when I show you the handle and the spigot, or whatever you call these, than you do if I do it like this. Do you see? There's something not so attractive about that. It's all valid. I could lay this down sideways, open or closed, either way. I mean, they're all the way the object looks. And that's what I get to experiment with. Maybe I don't want it perfectly in profile, but maybe I want to have a little perspective where you see some of this. And, those are all the choices that I'll be making. Right now, I kind of want to decide what my canvas is because, frankly, I have to go clean my house and get my kitchen table free and get a couch free because every horizontal surface in my house is a place to have a project going. So, anyway, I chose 2 different canvases that I found. I had this linen canvas that I had lying flat for a long time, and I wanted to get it off the surface. So I tentatively mounted it to these stretcher bars because I was pulling out I have a lot of stretcher bars. I don't know how I got all this stuff, but sometimes it's from bad canvases, and so you burn the canvas and you want to keep the material. So anyway, I just tentatively put a nail in here to remind myself that, okay, here is one setup available. And I may want to use this, and I'll have to restretch it, of course, but I may want to use this, but I was worried it might be a little bit too big. So I have this wood board that I love to paint on wood, actually. And this was primed with a white, two layers of gesso vero, which is the prime for oil painting. However, this year I did 2 Christmas markets, and I wanted a way to showcase my little Christmas paintings on an easel because there was limited table space. So I basically took a silver, I don't know if you can see that there, it's a silver acrylic paint that I just kind of lightly brushed over to give a nice background for the paintings that was all pretty and shiny and glistery and Christmassy. So I don't want to waste a canvas for a silly little Christmas market thing, you know, use once a year kind of thing, and I can always make another situation if I have more time. So I'm going to possibly use this, but I thought it could be to my advantage because one of the ideas I was thinking of that I started to mention a little bit ago, the teal, gave me the idea while I was sleeping before I woke up this morning that if I make the Campitura, the underlying color of the canvas that I choose, in a teal color, and maybe even with this one I can leave some silver shining through, I can already be a stage ahead for getting my bouncy little colors that I've been wanting to play with, you know, the layers where you see little chips and pieces coming through. So that could be a fun thing to do. This may not be big enough, that may be too big, I don't know. But so I want the Campitura to be drying while I'm actually away. So that's what I need to do right now. Is this is basically, I'm going to go from here to there. I may change it, probably. I don't know if I'll move the light source over there to be different from what I did for the last time. But that'll make me have to figure out, maybe I'll have to put a nail in the ceiling and then hang something down so this clip up here can attach to it. I don't know. I'm working out on these things. But I'm probably going to drape a semi-transparent piece of tracing paper or maybe a black garbage bag or something like that to give me more shadow, to put more depth into the background, okay? And also, I don't need to light this evenly necessarily. These are pretty common things, and like I said, I don't want to be formulaic, but then I also find myself going, oh, I just don't like that full light. I like a little bit more theater to it. I like more drama. So as this is developing, I'm going to be changing things around, and you can follow me here. Subscribe to my channel, and let's get going. So anyway, I have this linen, and I have this. Let me put this because it's smaller, and then I can set it aside if I don't like it. All right, so let's move that baby. And I don't need this. And my extra fruit. I'm running out of horizontal spaces. Imagine. I have a little mechanics chair that I just put it on over there because I like, you know, it's so much easier if you have to work low on something to sit so that my back can be straight kind of thing. All right. So the easel would have to go up, obviously, but if I look at this, because, you know, I was looking at some of the pictures and the videos that I took last night while I was there, and I don't think I want to deal with this time. I think maybe the camera right now is a little bit taller. The camera is like up here for my eye level, but it looks down on this piece a little bit more, and that might be more fun for me to do, be a little different and not different at the same time. So I can't lower this table other than the fact that I removed the other piece of wood. It's always easier to raise stuff, isn't it? But if I put this next to here, let's say even it up there, does it go across there? So if I choose to use this particular canvas, it might be a little tight with that. I mean, I have to stand back and look at this really, but it could be the tight is nice. It obviously makes life a lot simpler for a lot less painting of that design. But again, I'm wanting the awe factor, not the... you know, when I've seen fabric painted, even if it's a John Singer Sargent, where just the slightest little highlight makes an earring, because your brain fills in a lot of stuff. So I don't have space between this cupboard. I can slip it in right at the back, because see, this is angled here. So if I put, okay. So yes, I can get this technically against the wall. I may be able to shove that over a wee bit. at least the board. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm afraid to touch it. But let me lift this up a little bit higher here. Okay, so now if I wanted to have a little bit of space there, actually show a shelf. I don't know, again, that that's it. But, and I go up higher, it could be that that gets me something there. Now, I can put the canvas, the easel can't go any closer to the wall, so I can't change that. But it really depends on, you know, the more forward you have your canvas, the smaller these objects appear on the canvas. Okay, you know that from looking at plein air paintings, because they're using a tiny, tiny canvas like this. And especially if you go on Instagram, a lot of the artists love showing how their painting matches right exactly into the mountain, because they're doing the site size process. Okay, so you just line up everything and boom, 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 you got your horizontals and all that stuff. You still need to know how to draw to do that, to be fair. I mean, people that don't know how to draw site size is a helper, but it's not going to solve something. You need to learn how to draw. But my point is that if I can push this even behind that, that makes these objects get larger on my canvas, because I'm standing back 2 meters away, comparing apples to apples. I'll start with a horizontal measurement like this, and I'll line up this thing. Even the height of the easel here will be, how do I want to compose this? Do I want more space down below? Do I want it higher or not? But my main point right now is, I think because this will fit on my canvas in this little tiny space I'm in, I want to go ahead and make this have my Campitura on it. So that means that I need to stretch this baby today. And after it's stretched, then I need to put that turquoise or teal color on it that I want to put, and get that covered so that it can be drying in the next 4 days. So finally, I'm going to leave you now, and you don't have to hear me rambling on and on and on. And I'm going to get to this because I think it's almost noon. So that means I'm going to have to eat lunch at some point, probably before I get into the painting of this. So I'll stretch this, go eat for my reward, and then come back and do this paint and find a place to sit it where he won't bump into it, because I have a labyrinth where I live and I can navigate it well, but other people are like, whoa, what is this? I'm afraid to touch anything. Okay, there you go. This is Kelly Borsheim. Have a happy, happy new year, and I hope to see you soon. Ciao, ciao.